Hey guys, it's Seanie B, here to talk about episode 10 of season 4 called Something Nice Back Home. And the title of this episode is actually used, named in this episode, when Bernard wants to put Jack out and asks him, wouldn't you be rather dreaming of something nice back home? And it's kind of a little bit ironic because he does actually have something nice back home, but then it completely changes into something not very nice. The first scene of this episode is Juliet waking up Jack, and Bernard and Dan are arguing over the signal not working. Then Rose and C.S. Lewis start sassing each other.
Just watch your tone, Red.
Jack faints and passes out, and we flash forward to Jack in the future off the island. And it's also interesting to note that every time Jack does lose consciousness in this episode, which happens a few times, he does go to a flash forward, and I'll be talking about it a little bit later. He gets out of bed, puts maybe his underwear away, and goes to the kitchen where he trips over a toy Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. We already know that the writers and producers are big fans of Star Wars and reference it throughout the show a lot. Like Sawyer calls Jyn Chewie a lot. Jack could be like Luke Skywalker. Claire is Leia, like his unknown hidden sister. The island could be the Force. Christian's Darth Vader. Hurley's Jabba the Hutt, etc. And also, Luke Skywalker was raised by his uncle, which is what happens this episode. Aaron's raised by his. I've been getting a lot of messages asking why Jack doesn't have the scar. Maybe it means something after he gets his appendectomy later in this episode. But as you can see here, he does. It's pretty faint and hard to see, so sorry YouTube, might be kind of hard to see in this quality. We also see Jack's tattoos when he turns around, and specifically this RS looking one. Who knows, maybe it stands for Red Sox, which I'll talk about in just a sec. Or it could even be like a K and an 8, if you make it out that way, like Kate. It also reminded me of the RG on the back of Naomi's bracelet. Jack picks up a newspaper where it says, Yankees bludgeon Red Sox in a series sweep, and then curses saying, A-Rod. Now in this newspaper, the only date visible is August 31st, 2007. It states that the Yankees finished their sweep over the Red Sox, with the winning pitcher Wang beating Curt Schilling 5-0. But the newspaper also says that the Angels beat the Astros 8-4, when that result only came on June 20th, 2007. And even though these dates conflict, we have to assume that they're putting this flash forward before the ending of Season 3 at that flash forward with Jack, and after the trial in Season 4 in the episode Eggtown. The article is supposedly written by Greg Bilson, who's supposedly a staff writer. And Greg Bilson is the founder of the company that produces props for film and TV industry. Like we see Bilson brand cigarettes appear in Lost also. And there's also an email that appears at the bottom of this article, and the address is used by that company that Bilson works for. Much of the text seen in the article appears in an actual New York Times article, though. Jack goes to the bathroom and Kate gets out. At night, Jack is reading a bedtime story to Aaron, aka his nephew, which we aren't really too sure yet if he knows about, but I think he does. He's reading from Alice in Wonderland, a script from that. And geez, Aaron seems to be asleep more than he's awake. He's like a koala bear. In the room, they show Aaron's mobile having 6 planets and 6 stars. Maybe like the Oceanic 6. Who knows? Also, the base of the mobile is the shape of the Dharma symbol. Why a 3-year-old has a mobile, who knows? Jack and Kate go outside into the hallway, and she mentions how so glad she is he's there. And notice the painting behind them. It looks like a dark figure surrounded by a white or gray circle, maybe like Jacob with the ash. It also looks very similar to Christian when he was in the water at the beginning of Season 1, appearing to Jack. We go to Sawyer, Claire, and Miles, trying to head back to Jack's camp. And Miles seems overly interested in what Claire has to say, and Sawyer makes him back off. Miles suddenly goes into his ghost-busting mode again, and we can hear the scene of when Rousseau and Carl die, and here's what Miles hears. He asks who's Danielle and Carl, and then searches the ground and finds their heads sticking out. And it makes you wonder why they were buried. It takes time to dig and bury corpses. I thought their mission was to fly to the island, enter Locke's camp, capture Ben and kill everyone. It doesn't seem to stick to plan. And even if they were going for the element of surprise, they would have to know that everyone would know they'd be there within a couple of hours. And then why not dig the hole a couple inches deeper or cover their heads with dirt to cover the entire body? Doesn't really make sense, but it is Siamey we're talking about, so who knows. And too bad we officially know now that Danielle is dead, officially dead. The producers did say, though, in a podcast that we still have more to learn of her and actually see of her. So, looking forward to that. Back at the beach, Jack pops some more pills when Juliet comes into Jack's tent and she knows he has appendicitis. She says, well, I guess we're just going to have to take it out. Juliet wants Son to go to the medical hatch and get some equipment for the surgery. And Dan wants to go with her. Jin and C.S. Lewis go with them also. And it's funny, actually, Juliet misspells a lot of words on the list too, like this one. When she tells the other people to find a hard surface, we see the same extra from Jin's pregnancy like I brought up before, how he's on the island. Claire's feeding Aaron, and Miles the ninja is staring at her. When Sawyer says, don't look at her, don't talk to her, don't mess with her, and that he's got a restraining order. Miles says, what are you, her big brother? The past couple episodes, Sawyer really has been like a big brother to Claire, like Jack really should be. At camp, Bernard and Rose are talking about Jack being sick. Rose is wondering why Jack is sick on the day before they're supposed to get rescued, when people on the island can't get sick, only better. Julia is shaving Jack's stomach, and they make a point of showing 2 or 3 times where the cut will be. Like I said earlier, we can actually see it in the flash forward. Jack says he doesn't want to be unconscious during the surgery, and that he supposedly wants to guide her through it, even though she has done this many times in the past. He also mentions that he wants Kate to hold a mirror in there, and only Kate. In the future, Jack is walking a patient out of the hospital, and he sees his dad walking away from him, but a nurse calls him and makes him look away. A little funny thing is that Jack's last name on his lab coat is spelled Shepard, S-H-E-P-A-R-D, but on the door to his office and on the sign in the lobby, it reads Shepard, S-H-E-P-H-A-R-D. A receptionist tells Jack that a guy from Santa Rosa Hospital needs his help, and Jack knows that's where Hurley is. So Jack goes there and visits Hurley. Jack asks him, why aren't you taking your meds? And he responds, because we're dead. All the Oceanic 6 are dead. We never got off the island. Hurley asks what Jack did today, and Jack tells him that he woke up and was with Kate, and that they fed the baby. And then Hurley says, I thought you didn't want anything to do with the baby. Jack says that he changed his mind after the trial, and like I said earlier, this is how we know that this flash forward happens at least sometime after Eggtown. Hurley says Charlie comes by and talks to him sometimes, and that Charlie told him Jack would be coming by, and Charlie wanted to give Jack a message. Jack asks what it is, and Hurley reads, you're not supposed to raise him, Jack. Jack looks mad and starts to leave the room as Hurley says that Charlie wants Jack to know that someone will be visiting him real soon. The Asians and the scientists get to the medical hatch, and Dan tells C.S. Lewis that he should go in first to make sure it's safe, and she smiles. Jin asks Sun in Korean if Charlotte knows that Dan likes her, and Sun says also in Korean that she knows she's a woman. C.S. Lewis looks back and smiles, and Jin knows something's fishy. Inside, Dan wonders how all the power from the island gets there, and I'm thinking it's something to do with geothermal powering from the volcano on the island.